Hey, what's up, guys? So, in the video today, I just kind of want to talk about my first week at Amazon and my experiences working there so far. Just to kind of let you guys know, because there are some people who were actually interested in last video, kind of asking a bunch of questions and stuff. So, I kind of just want to go through some of the stuff, clear it up for those who have questions, and just for those of my viewers who watch it in general who are just interested in knowing. So, with that said, if you like that, if you like these kinds of videos, let me know by dropping some likes on this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm and it really helps out the channel, helps us to grow the more likes we get. So please just, keep that in mind. Also, make sure to go ahead and do me a favor, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and let's get right into this video. So the first thing you guys should know is that it's going to be challenging working at Amazon. It's not going to be challenging so much because of the work, more so because of how long the shifts are. In my case, I work Thursday through Saturday, 12 hours a day. I work from 6 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. And yeah, it's tiring. It's not so hard now for me to stay awake. It's really weird. I kind of adjusted to it quite quickly. It didn't take me as long to adjust as I thought it would. It's kind of nice. So on my first day at Amazon, I got assigned to stowing. Different people get assigned different places. You have pickers, packers. There's a few more, water spiders. There's a few more I can't really think of, but they're like the main ones I know. And yeah, so I got assigned to stowing. So as a stower, I have these pods that come to me. They're kind of on like a little robot type thing, and I get them. They come to me, and I have this little conveyor that has, what's it called? They have these tubs that come to me, and well, they don't come to me. I sort them out, but I just pick items from there, stow them, scan them in, and I store them on the shelf, and I just do that all day long for 12 hours a day. There's not much to it. It's not difficult, it's tiring because of how long the shifts are. Your feet are gonna hurt, believe me. So at Amazon, there's an Amazon standard stow rate, which for the one that I work at, the stow rate is 300 items per hour. I know on my second day, I was hitting about 145. I was hitting about 145 an hour, and we have a stack time, which is how the second per in between stow times, and it was supposed to be about 12 seconds in between each item. And on my second day, I was hitting about 18 seconds between items, so I'm picking it up fairly quickly. The biggest part is like once it gets towards the end of my shift, the final hour and a half, 2 hours, it gets very, very difficult for me to keep up the pace because I'm just so tired by that point. Also, not to mention when you get these pods, the pods that come to you, so many times I get items that I can't even fit on the shelves, so I have to send it away. My turn rate percentage is like 45%, and you're supposed to be at like 25%. I guess I'm like the unluckiest person when it comes to pod space, because you're supposed to fill up every single bin or every single compartment on the pod and then send it away, and I have yet to do that with the pod yet. So I don't know, it gets frustrating, especially because having to wait for pods lowers my stow rate, and you don't want that to happen. It's all a big thing. So with these pods, Amazon has these cameras in the little area that you're in when you're stowing. They're either clear lights or purple lights. If it is a clear light, it means go ahead and stow it there. If it's a magenta light, do not stow. You do not stow in magenta. You do not stow in magenta. It's just, you don't stow there. So if you don't see a magenta light, go ahead and stow. Unless it's a similar item, then you don't want to stow in there either, which is supposed to turn magenta, but I've noticed it's not. So you gotta watch out how many errors you make, because too many errors is not a good thing. So some pros and cons. So some pros to working there is the hiring process. The hiring process is all online. It's very easy. There's no interview. You just put an application, pick what shift you want, and then you just wait. I waited only about a week before I had to go in for a new hire orientation, and from about 2 weeks, a little bit around 2 weeks. I think it was like 10, 11 days. No, it was about 12 days. So about 2 weeks after the new orientation process, I had my first day. So, what's going on? I had my first day. So it's a very quick and easy, painless hiring process. Another pro for working at Amazon is the Amazon minimum wage is $15 an hour, and that's across the country, and it doesn't matter what position you do, the starting pay at Amazon is $15 an hour. Which, I mean, if you're like me and you live in Oklahoma, that's very good because the state minimum wage out here is only $7.25. So $15 is more than double the state minimum wage, which is crazy. And $15 an hour out here is actually pretty good. And my shift and anybody else who works this shift actually has a $2.90 differential because it's overnight and it's 12 hours long, so it's inconvenient. Nobody wants the shift. So my pay at Amazon is actually $17.90 per hour. Whereas at my old job I was making $11.25 an hour. So $17.90 an hour is a giant step up. I'll be making in a week what I was making 2 weeks working at the hospital. So that's pretty cool. I think the final pro would be how nice everybody is. The ambassador that trained me was pretty nice. I've had people while I was storing come up to me and give me some tips just because they wanted to be nice and help out. I actually had somebody who's trained to be a manager over at an Iowa location come to me and he gave me some tips on how to increase stack time and stuff. And after he gave me those tips, I brought my stack. That's when my stack time started to really drop because it was at around 45 seconds, which is very slow considering you're supposed to be at 12. And I was able to drop it all the way down to 18. Also, on a side note, I got reassigned to a different station after I started at my station on Friday. I want to say it was Friday. No, it's Saturday. It happened on Saturday. And I was stowing at 11 seconds, like, per item. Because the station I was at was a count station, so you have multiple of the same items. And I had a ton of small items, so I was just stowing them like crazy quick. And I got reassigned, and it kind of screwed me over. Because I don't like the regular stations where you have a lot of big items come in. Because the big items, there's certain ones that you just cannot find the right size compartment for it. And so far, every shift, I've always had a couple of items that have been there since I clocked in. When I clock out, they still haven't been stowed because it's just that hard sometimes to get the proper size. It's kind of annoying. So a couple of cons is you will be on your feet all day and your feet are going to hurt. During the 12 hours that you're working, with the exception of your breaks, you're going to be on your feet. And there's just no other way around it. And then another con is how big the area is. Depending on where you are, it could take you almost 10 minutes to get to the break room, which on your lunch break's not a big deal because you clock out and then that's when your break officially starts. But on your second break, which is your first paid break by Amazon, you have 30 minutes from the time you scan your last item to come back and scan your next item. So if it takes you 10 minutes to get to the break room, then you really only get to chill for about another 10 minutes before you gotta head back. So it's really only about a 20-minute break because it's about 10 minutes to walk each way. So you walk to the break room basically for take you 10 minutes, sit down for 10 minutes, and walk for another 10 minutes and scan the next item because you, as I found out, will get points if you are too late, which happened to me, and it was actually really annoying. Although it wasn't actually my fault that it took as long as it did, I was actually I got assigned somewhere else. I guess it was marked down. Anyway, you get two 30-minute breaks and a 15-minute break, but really when you consider scan to scan, you get a 30-minute break because that's from the time you clock out and then clock back in. So what I do is I sign out on the computer and I walk to the break room and I clock out right at that time clock at the break room. Now I clock back in at it. That's the only time, to my knowledge, that scan to scan doesn't apply. So on your next 30-minute break, you scan an item, and within 30 minutes of scanning it, you have to scan in the next item. So it's really a 30-minute break, a 20-minute break, and a 15-minute break. And your 15-minute break, unless you're right to the break room where you can see it, you might as well just stay at your station and sit on the ladder. That's what I do. That's what most people do on the 15-minute breaks. because by the time you got to the break room, you'd have to turn back around and you'd probably still be late scanning in your next item. So that's probably the biggest con, is how big the area is. It's very hard to actually get in a full break. So I'm thinking on my second 30-minute break, I'm going to start taking my break at the station as well, just so I get as much of the time as possible. Only for lunch am I going to leave my station to take a break, I think, from this point forward, because it's just not worth losing time that I can spend resting when you don't get much to be. So the last thing is it worth working at an Amazon fulfillment center? Honestly, that kind of depends on your situation. If you're in a state like me, where your minimum wage is $7.25, and you have the opportunity to make 15, or like I'm making $17.90 an hour, or if you don't have much education like I do, I'm not in college, I didn't go to college, I'm not going to go. $17.90 an hour, that's really high up there in terms of probably the maximum I could ever make per hour. So for me, $17.90 an hour is very good. For me, it's worth it. If you're in a state like California where minimum wage is like $12 or $13 an hour, then it's probably not worth earning that extra $2 an hour unless you can get up to $17.90. But even in California, $17.90 an hour is not very much. So, it depends. For me, it's well worth it because this is one of the best jobs I'm going to get in terms of pay. So it depends on you and your situation. If you just want to do a part-time job, I think Amazon would be worth it. It's like a little side money. Or if you're a student, it'd be well worth it to do it part-time, or during the summer, work full shift, preferably my shift if you could, because you make the most, and pick up extra shifts as well. Me, I'm going to start picking up extra shifts when it's for stowing, because stowing is the only thing I've been trained on right now. I had the opportunity to pick up an extra shift yesterday, but it was for outbound, which I haven't been trained on. So if I see an extra shift and it's for stowing, I'm going to go ahead and take it and get the overtime. I'm not going to work overtime all the time, only when I find one that I can actually take, or if it's mandatory overtime, then I will work it. But if it's not, I won't. But anyway, drop some likes on this video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload from me, because this probably will not be my last Amazon related video. Anyway, hope you all have a good day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, because I got a Pokemon pack opening. Pieces.